When you go to Business Central Online, it's like you're moving into a condo building. And you have one of those units. And within that unit, that's your unit, right? That's your Business Central unit. You have control of your own data and some of your own customizations. But Microsoft is running the whole environment. That's your plumbing, your electricity, the outside of the building, and the grounds. Okay. They're taking care of that for you.
As we get ready to spring forward in March, Microsoft is getting ready for the Business Central 2021 Release Wave 1 update. But that hasn't stopped them from releasing update 17.4. On this month's podcast, we'll talk about what's included in this update, we'll chat with the team at Avalara, and Ken and I will role-play a conversation between someone looking to upgrade to Business Central from Nav and a Microsoft partner. So in the words of Councillor David Cyr, let's not waste any time, let's do it and get it done.
Over 200,000 businesses running this. On the fat part.
Or fat, what did I say, flat? Sorry.
If any of the operations that you're doing require the use of an outside processor or subcontract vendor, that is not supported with Assembly.
Don't be afraid to talk to your partner.
Today, we're drinking Arrogant Bastard Ale.
I want to know why Jim picked this beer over the other one.
Because I really think it resembled, my personality more than anything else.
Level 3, Knuckles has been dispatched. He's on his way.
I think one of the benefits and detriments all at the same time is the visibility that it gave us into our actual data.
Welcome to another edition of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer.
Welcome back, everyone, to another podcast episode of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer. My name is Michael Intravartolo, but you may know me as that smooth-talking Midwest marketer who made shaving your head more popular than Vin Diesel did. As always, I'm joined by the Sultan of Software, the behemoth of Business Central, the great Ken Bino himself, Mr. Ken Sebahar.
Wow, I love it.
What do you say, Ken?
Wow, this is a big billing, and we've got a big episode coming your way today,
huge,
right?
huge. Yeah, it's gonna be.
I'm looking forward today. This is going to be awesome. We've got some news in our shot segment. We've got a great guest, Avalara.
Yep, Avalara's going to be on the show.
Sales tax is a burden we must all deal with, and they help ease that burden.
Definitely.
And then I'm most looking forward to today, actually, is talking about upgrades, because it's something that we talk about all the time. How do we upgrade to Business Central and get to Business Central Online?
Definitely a very popular topic nowadays, especially when people are using Nav and they see what Business Central looks like, they love it. But before we jump into all that, we've got, there it is, the cracking of the beer called 10 Fidy, barrel-aged Oscar Blues. Oh, look at that. It's pouring a dark color, too.
Holy cow. I've never seen such a dark beer.
Wow.
It's black.
Yeah.
It was black coming out of the can. So it's a black 12-ounce can, Oscar Blues, Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels.
Yes, yes.
It took us nearly 2 years to get to this.
Right, yeah. We've been avoiding the barrel-aged alcohol.
I think we were both afraid.
Yeah.
I think we were both scared. 12.5% alcohol by volume.
Which, for barrel-aged, I guess, is kind of low, right? Aren't they usually around between 16 and 18%, maybe?
They can be, in the mid-teens.
I'll tell you what. I like the smell of this beer, though.
Yeah?
I haven't smelled it from the can, but in the glass, I like the smell. Now, right off the bat with the smell, I do get chocolate notes. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Tons of chocolate.
Really?
Tons of alcohol.
I'm afraid now. All right, here we go. Sip number 1.
It'll be interesting to see if you crack a second one of these before the day is up here.
Yeah, that's a strong beer now. Now, I mean, it tastes how it looks, and how I would imagine it would be, right? It is.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally at least 3 times as strong as a
regular
domestic beer. You
Yeah.
know?
So let's see what they say, what the website says about 10 Fidy. So like we said, alcohol 12.5%. It is described as big, bad, and barrel aged. This imperial stout camped out for 4 seasons in bourbon whiskey oak barrels before reaching absolute perfection. Taste, description, aromas, molasses, vanilla mixed with flavors, dark chocolate, espresso beans, and roasted barley. I'll tell you what, to me the description is pretty good. I get the espresso, the dark chocolate. What else is crazy? The more we drink beer, the more I'm liking these stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big and bold, huh?
Yeah, big and bold, yeah.
See, I kind of feel the opposite. I'm kind of like, it's almost like I feel, I don't know, inadequate or, because I don't love this.
Oh, yeah?
Right? Like, I feel like if you're really into beer, a bourbon barrel imperial stout should be like the greatest thing ever for you.
The coup de grace.
Right? Like, nothing gets better than this.
Right.
And this is a tasty beer, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very flavorful, big, bad, and bold, and all those things you just
Right.
said. But it's kind of like,
Too much?
Yeah, I'm not reaching for this. If I've got a lineup of, 10 or 12 or 20 beers available to me,
Right.
and they're all the same price,
Yeah.
I'm not reaching for this, probably.
Well, price-wise, forget it. These, for 4 cans, $20.
Woo!
Yeah, so
Well, it's
But-
like I said, 4 cans, but alcohol.
it's double the alcohol. So
Triple.
that's why, yeah, triple, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to reach for this when I just want a beer. This is a beer that I got to pair with something. I don't know.
Like half a cow.
I was going to say, I think it would probably go with a good steak, yeah. Half a cow. So, speaking of beers, I've got a Stump Ken question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think this is going to maybe put an end to the debate we've had in the past about how do we classify what a craft beer is. So I came across actually how to classify it. So I'm going to give you some choices. The question is, to be classified as a craft brewer in the U.S., a brewery must A, be less than 15% owned by a large brewery, B, have an annual production of 6 million barrels of beer or less, C, list all the ingredients on the bottle, or D, brew using traditional methods.
B.
B? Damn, man. Come on, really?
Yeah.
You got it right.
Sorry.
Have the annual.
I had a feeling it had to do with the quantity of beer that got
Yeah.
produced.
Right, whether it's a big company or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
10-1, I'd say now, on Stump Ken questions.
I'll take it. Yeah. So Beer Advocate has this ranked pretty high. I'm not surprised. It's
Oh,
a
really?
4.48 out of 5.
Wow.
Ranked number 56 for Imperial Stout. So I guess it's not, it's not like top 10.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of big fans of this out there. And like I said, it's like people love this big boozy flavor and chocolate aroma and all that stuff in there. One guy points it out here. It's like perfect for a February day, which...
Curled up
I
with
guess
your
it's
weighted blanket.
why we're drinking this today. But it's just, loaded with like all these, chocolatey, cocoa-y.
I get it. I definitely get the
flavors.
chocolatey, coconutty, whatever you want to call it, flavor. So, I think for this beer, though, I think we should rate it now and then come back to it later on. Because I think anytime we taste like these chocolatey beers, I think the flavor profile changes a lot as they warm up.
Right.
So if I were to give this a rating now, not if I have to, but I'm going to, it's going to be, I'm going to go pretty high here, 92. I like this beer. And I can tell by the look on Ken's face, he's wondering if he should get out of the 70s.
Well, I was going to say 80. I was debating 80 or 82. We'll go 81, right? So to me, what's a little off-putting is like the aroma. When I go to take a drink, you smell that?
I do.
A little horse blanket.
Yeah, a little horse blanket covered with,
So I'm a big coffee drinker, right? So I get a lot of coffee notes
Yeah.
with this, and even the look of it kind of reminds me of espresso with that crema on it.
I'm gonna reserve my final rating though till later,
Yeah, definitely.
because I think, like I said, I feel bad because it's like, is this, it's maybe not a bad beer, just me personally, but I have my rating system that I use, and I need to get to the end to see where this is going to fall.
Yeah. All right, so I got you down for an 80. I got me down for a 92. And we'll see what it is later. So, all right, everybody, stay tuned. Next up, we've got the traditional shot of Business Central coming. Ken and Michael back for the shot of Business Central and a beer. This is effectively the shot segment, not just shot of Business Central and a beer. Not too many new updates this month, and I don't expect next month's release to be any different, just because of the looming 2021 update. Although there was the update 17.4. Now, whatever I was reading, I saw that the only new feature is the addition of a telemetry for API endpoint authorization scheme.
Maybe you were drinking too many of these bourbon barrel stouts.
Maybe I'm actually going to move on to my second one here pretty soon. But other than that, I saw that there's really only hot fixes, about 40 or so. Now, I know Ken logged onto a web page today, and he found something that is new with the 17.4 update.
Yeah, this was announced on February 8th. With 17.4, use recurring journals to allocate balances by dimension values. So, I don't know how many people this relates to, but if you're using recurring general journals on a regular basis, there is a recurring method field that's always existed, and there's some new options. It's BD balance by dimension, or RBD reversing balance by dimension. So BD is balance by dimension, RBD reversing balance by dimension.
Wow, acronyms from Microsoft.
So yeah, who would have thought? So there's some new types of recurring recurring journal options available to you that do allocations by dimensions. So some additional tools there. And then also some news about some additional improvements that they've slowly been rolling out with Business Central and Teams.
Yes, you were saying that it's general availability for the public?
Yes, it's officially gone out of preview mode and into general availability. I think that legally means something within Microsoft, right?
But us, not really.
But really, I don't know what it means.
No, but that's good. I mean, it's out there for people to use it.
But they fixed some things. I think if you had been using it at all, you probably noticed some improvements. There were some issues with the URL slowly expanding on certain devices, or there were some issues. So languages, other things that they've improved and added. I
can tell you one issue that I had with it, and I'm hoping maybe they fixed it, is once you entered your username to connect it into Teams, it was a real pain in the you-know-what to switch usernames for your Business Central. So if you logged in at joe@abc.com, that Business Central environment, if you wanted to change it to joe45@abc.com for a different environment, it was virtually impossible. I mean, I tried uninstalling the app in Teams and whatnot, so yeah. I'll have to check it out. Maybe they fixed that too with this 17.4. Who knows? All right, so what else we got here? I see that basic authentication removal for Business Central Online has been postponed until April 2022. And this is basically because Microsoft has seen that some integrations need more time to move from the web service access key to the O authorization style.
Yeah. So I hear people, the user community was in an uproar, and Microsoft heard you, and they said, fine, we'll leave it in for a while longer.
All those hits brought down the website. Also, one other thing I have here is it is finally time to switch your Dynamics 365 Business Central browser to the new version of Microsoft Edge. We talked about in the past that Microsoft is going to remove Internet Explorer 11 and Microsoft Edge Legacy from their list of preferred browsers. This is now definitely happening on April 2nd, 2021. So you've got a month and a couple weeks to update your browsers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of small to mid-sized businesses generally shouldn't be an issue,
No.
right? But I have seen some companies where there's other reasons why that's not so easy, right? There's reasons why they have to run these versions of browsers due to integrations with some other system that they're running.
Yeah.
And that gets tricky.
Or occasionally you come across the company who's running Windows XP and still
right,
using Microsoft.
Yeah, 7.0, Internet Explorer 7.0 or something.
Just because it works.
Right. But, the good thing is there are multiple options. So it's like, fine, then use your Internet Explorer 7.0 for this, but let's use Chrome on a different device or just Chrome in general for Business Central.
Right, and I think obviously the newer versions run better with mostly everything. They're faster for web browsing and whatever. So you can't go wrong updating as long as I guess your system can handle it.
Yeah.
So one more thing. This is maybe a little bit different, but so we've talked about in the past some of the downfalls that we have with AppSource and the billing and the customers or whatnot. So came across this article and it was basically titled, "Is Microsoft going to be updating their commerce options to reinforce co-selling?" And I did a little research and I want to read some quotes from some of these Microsoft people. And according to Gabriella Schuster, who is the corporate vice president for the One Commercial Partner division at Microsoft, Microsoft plans to open direct commerce capabilities for ISVs in its marketplaces. So what does this mean? Well, according to another Microsoft spokesperson, the model will support a variety of ways for ISVs to design offers. The update will apply to both AppSource and Azure Marketplace. So I'm hoping, that this means that they're going to maybe adopt finally the mobile phone strategy. I call it the mobile phone strategy for AppSource, where they handle the billing and all that.
You're interpreting that. I was going to say that is a really general announcement.
I agree.
That quote that you said there is basically like, yeah, we're working on it. Right?
Excuse me, yes. So with that, though, Gabrielle Schuster also reportedly said, opening up the value of our entire ecosystem to our ISVs and enabling our partners to pull those applications from the marketplace right into their CSP catalog and sell on behalf of those partners. A feature we're delivering is the ability for ISV to add margin or incentives to partners they select through our marketplace through a CSP, and then, yada, yada, yada. So what I take from this is they're hearing what people are saying. They want to actually finally start making changes. Now, whether or not they make the changes that we want or that other people want, who knows? But I've got my fingers crossed that.
Yeah, all kidding aside, it is promising, right? That there's, that they're working on improvements to how companies out there can purchase apps for Dynamics products.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Now, maybe you heard this in the news and maybe you did. Maybe I got it wrong. But I think I heard that Apple is currently in court in North Dakota about app developers wanting to actually have control over how they bill the customer. So, complete opposite. Yeah. So when I was reading about it, I was like, oh, man, this might not be too good here. So we'll see what happens and how the court rules. But
yeah, I think maybe that goes to the fact of how much revenue they lose to Apple, right?
Right.
Apple has like a virtual monopoly, right, on that, and they I don't know what the percentage is that Apple gets of every single app sale.
But it's
I think it's a pretty high percent, and some app developers aren't happy about that because they feel like they deserve the vast majority of that revenue.
Right.
And Apple's taken a huge cut. So I think that is important. If we go to that point where companies can go on to Microsoft App Source and they can purchase apps for their dynamic solution and do a kind of a global billing through Microsoft and have one bill, that will become an issue of what percentage is Microsoft taking if they replicate that Apple model.
Yeah.
Of each developer's revenue, what percent are they taking? It has to be a reasonable percent.
Well, of course. I mean, they've got to pay people to do the work too, or whatnot. So.
Just creating the platform, supporting that platform, remitting payments to partners, collecting payments from customers. Yeah, absolutely. There is a huge value, and just having that centralized place, marketplace, to sell those, to search for apps and the marketing tools to get your name out there. There's huge value in that. So that's a debatable topic, but it has to be a reasonable percent.
Yeah.
That is, the vast majority has to be going back to the developer. Microsoft takes a piece, right? It's in their best interest to keep that relatively low because they want to develop and nurture that marketplace to make sure that developers see a big revenue opportunity there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think if Microsoft were to take ownership of that, I think you'd see the amount of apps double pretty quickly on App Source, just because people develop the apps, they don't have to worry about the back end, how to charge people, how to
license it, enforce it.
Exactly. I think you'd see a lot of the apps, the amount of apps double, and the quality of apps would probably change too. So.
Yep.
All right. Next up, I know is one thing you are better prepared to talk about, and it is, I guess effective February 1st, 2021, configuration component changes will be made in the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central on-premises essentials and premium licenses. Can the name get any longer?
I know. Good gravy.
God.
Yeah. So what they're saying is now this reads a little like Greek. It's not 100% clear, but what it basically looks like is when you're running Business Central on premise, you still have this idea of custom objects that apply to your development, even when you're developing in extensions, which is something that I don't know that people realize, right? Because in the newest versions of Business Central, you're not developing objects. You're developing extensions using Visual Studio Code and AL. So, but the idea of these custom objects, historically for NAV, it was, you get 10 tables, and those are number 50,000 through 50,009 are the object numbers, right? You get 100 pages, 100 queries, 100 reports, 100 XML ports, and those are all in this 50,000 range. And it looks like they're adding, effective February 1st, an additional 10 code units, is what I'm gathering out of this.
Yep.
And so you get 20 code units. And so if you're running Business Central on-premise and you're active on the enhancement plan, effective February 1st, you can request a new license from your partner, and then you will automatically have 20 code units available.
At no cost.
At no cost to you. So an additional 10 code units is what they're adding. And I think, that the 10 additional code units is the dollar cost of those there is a cost. You do have to purchase those custom objects. Again, even if you're but what I don't know that people know is that, even though you're developing extensions, not objects, you still have to have these custom references available, and they get used and referenced in an on-premise environment. Whereas in Business Central Online, when you're running on Microsoft's cloud, getting updated every month, in that framework, the concept of those object numbers doesn't exist.
Right.
It's unlimited, and that right there, my friend, is a reason why you may want to deploy Business Central online, right? If you're going to be building a bunch of custom stuff, especially tables and things, you may be better off going to BC Online. And I'm going to tie this back into, again, one of the new features that's coming out in 2021 Wave 1, which is the ability to add indexes to tables. So again, if the reason you were thinking you wanted to be on premises because you have this huge database and you needed to make custom keys on tables for performance purposes,
Right.
now in Business Central Online, you actually can add custom keys to standard tables as extensions.
Which
And
speeds up time thousandfold.
So that means, you got 1 million ledger entries and you were worried about being able to quickly filter on a custom field that you added. Well, now you can add a key to that ledger table using that custom field, and now the performance is going to be suitable. And again, I don't want to get this. I know it's technical and kind of in the weeds, but that's a major improvement.
Oh yeah.
With 2021 Wave 1. So, as a matter of fact, even customers that are on premise running Business Central, there's a motivation there to upgrade to 2021 Wave 1.
Just because of
For performance purposes, if you've been experiencing that so far.
Pretty good.
Whew.
You got through it. So I've got one more honorable mention. It's not Business Central specific, although it ties into Business Central, and that is Microsoft, aka Power BI, has been named a leader again in the 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for analytics and BI platforms. And if you actually look at the Magic Quadrant, it looks kind of like it did last year. Microsoft and Power BI is by far and away the leader in, as a visionary and
execution.
By far and away. So.
Yeah, and that is so great for us because not only, Power BI is a great reporting solution and you can use it with other apps. So even if you're not running Business Central, if you're not running Business Central, I'm not sure why you're listening to us right now. I guess, but maybe you're running Nav. I should say Nav or Business Central, right? But you can use Power BI with anything, but it's built into Business Central, right? And now is like our go-to reporting solution. Right. So having the best business intelligence and data analytics solution in the market built into Business Central as the reporting solution.
As they say in the past, it's the cat's meow.
You got it.
You can't get much better than that. So
no.
All right. So back here with a shot of Business Central and a beer podcast, and we are doing our featured app segment. And we are one of the lucky ones today because we get to have Avalara on the podcast. And Avalara obviously deals with taxes, which is everybody's favorite.
Who doesn't love sales tax?
Yeah, everybody's favorite topic. We're lucky to have Maria Tringali. Am I saying that right or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Oh, perfect.
Correct.
Perfect. Well, welcome, Maria. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at Avalara, how long you've been with the company, that type of thing, maybe something, right around there?
Sure, great. Thanks for having me, Michael. So I've been with Avalara about 6.5 years or so, something like that. And the entire time I've been doing this sales tax thing, I have worked very closely with manufacturers, distributors, and other businesses that sell B2B or sell to buyers who want to be tax exempt for some reason. So by some, no fault of my own, I am now one of our specialists here at Avalara for exempt selling and how businesses who sell B2B handle their tax compliance, because it's not all about the tax calculation. As you guys know, there's a whole bunch of other things that have to do with tax compliance. And so I live in Seattle. I'm a mom and a grandma, and working from home nowadays. And I don't know, what else do you want to know? That's my story.
Well, we love your sharp Avalara scarf that you're sporting today.
Thank you, thank you.
We're a big fan of the swag that Avalara provides.
Yeah,
And
it's actually it's really top quality. Whatever it is that you guys do and give away, it's quality stuff.
We love it. We're very swag heavy here. We love our orange, and we love our partners and customers and friends to be sporting our orange Avalara stuff. So
yeah, and I think more mainly though, what we love is that someone out there is trying to handle all of this sales tax pain that small to mid-sized businesses have to try to find a way to deal with, right?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, it's definitely a pain point for a lot of businesses, and hence why Avalara is so successful. And you guys actually become a public company within the past 2 years, I think it is.
We have. We are now a $500 million company, publicly held, over 30,000 customers. The sales tax stuff is not easy. Nobody went into business to understand tax compliance, and you're right. This company's created a way to make it easy for any size business. So yeah.
So how long has Avalara been around for?
We are about 14 years now, I believe.
Wow. Yes. That's pretty good.
And can you just walk through a little bit about Business Central and how Avalara works with Business Central? Let's start with the flagship Business Central Online, right? And companies that are doing that. And so what are some of the benefits? Why would someone look at Avalara if they're using Business Central?
Yeah, let me take it back one step and kind of tie you guys together. So one of our very, very first business partners was Microsoft. So we very early on developed the concept of partnering with ERP's accounting platforms, and Microsoft was either our very first or one of our two very first partners. Jessica, you might know different, but so fast forward to today, Microsoft has many different invoicing platforms, and Business Central is one of them. So the concept is we integrate with your platform or platforms. So if you also have a shopping cart, our tax compliance platform integrates with that and makes the sales tax compliance process easier. As I said earlier, whether you're calculating tax on a large part of your business or only on a small part of your business, we also manage the rest of the tax compliance platform. Use tax, our favorite subject, Ken, as well as exemption certificates, filing sales tax returns, getting registered with states, etc. So we integrate with Business Central as well as over 10,000 other invoicing platforms at this point. So
wow,
we love Business Central users. We love our partnership with Microsoft.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a lot of people to integrate with, but it just goes to show what type of a need there is then for Avalara. So you guys are kind of like a one-stop shop for sales tax, pretty much for organizations. So
100%. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Now, so for the product, is pricing something you can get into, or do you recommend that people engage with partners and then bring you guys in, and or it's kind of specific and different for each implementation, or what?
Yeah, it's different for each customer. So again, we work with any size business, from the smallest to the largest enterprise business. It really doesn't matter because you're basically doing the same thing, just at a different volume. So pricing is definitely volume based. So it would be very different for a small manufacturer or distributor with one location and a small amount of invoices than it might be for an enterprise business that has a lot of invoices that they process over and over. So it's very volume based. And of course, the solution is customized for every customer as well. You may only need certain pieces and parts because there's certainly a lot of options and people have different tax compliance needs. So your package is really customized for your business.
It's good to hear. And we are certified Avalara partners. So
you are. We love that. We do. I will tell you, to be candid here, guys, when I'm on the phone with a lot of prospects, excuse me, a lot of prospective Avalara customers. I love when they work with one of our certified partners. So I just know they're in great hands. I know their partners are really close with their business and really care about what they do and really want to help them make sure they get this tax compliance thing right and they no longer stress about it. So I'm so thrilled to be here. I love our certified partner. I mean, I love all our partners, right? But I always know that my customer is in great hands when they're working with a partner like yours. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that like the tax landscape. So we've been working in the small to mid-sized market for years, and it seemed like companies like sales tax, they had one state or two states, and I don't know how much into the weeds we want to go here, but over the last couple of years, right, there's been some changes.
oh my gosh, yes, yes.
Created, and I think maybe a lot of people aren't right who don't live and breathe this like we do. What are like some of those things, and like why has sales tax become so much more difficult recently?
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's probably just as difficult. It's just there's just more of it. But yes, a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court decided that states were now allowed to ask businesses to charge sales tax for goods being sold into their states, because so much is sold on the internet now. Without a brick and mortar store, states now have the right to basically ask for a cut of that business and require businesses sending anything or at certain thresholds of product and sales into their state to give them a cut of that revenue, hence sales tax, right? So what had happened was, because we thought, and even I just made that mistake, right? Because people thought that was really for internet sellers. Well, it doesn't matter whether you're selling over e-commerce, guys. It matters whether you're shipping product in that state. It doesn't matter how it gets there. So there was a bit of a misnomer of that when the laws were passed. Oh, I don't have an e-commerce business. I don't need to worry about that. Now businesses are realizing, those that you and I deal with, Ken, a lot, are realizing that, oh, those laws did actually apply to me because I am sending my goods or services into that state, and so I need to get registered. So we've had a big influx over 2020, and it's continuing into 2021, where the smaller to medium-sized B2B business, manufacturer, distributor is trying to play catch up and get registered in the states where the law now requires. And that kind of, when you have to do that, you're right, it does increase the complexity of your tax compliance requirements. And that's really where you sort of hit that threshold of, now I need automation. I can no longer just do this in my back office.
Right, because we've worked with customers that have had, maybe they had 2 or 3 states where they had to track and remit sales tax for.
Exactly.
Now I think again, I'm not a sales tax expert, but I think there's something like a number of transaction threshold or a dollar value threshold, like if it's 250,000 or 100,000 or whatever that is, where all of a sudden someone went from, I got to fill out 3 sales tax state returns at the end of the month to like 18
or more.
Or more, right? and it's like, okay, now at this point, I gotta like hire another person almost to handle this load, right? Because I gotta track all this, I gotta set it all up, and then I gotta fill out all these returns at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things I think where Avalara really shines, is not only making sure that companies are tracking and collecting the correct amount, right? But then also helping them with creating all those returns at the end of the month. That's like
exactly.
Right.
And having the expertise, and it's actually funny, I know a lot of people say, well, they're just online. I just log in and fill them out. Hey guys, if it's an online form, it's the same as a manual form. You still got a lot of fields you got to fill out and a lot of data you got to pull to do that. Just because you type it instead of write it doesn't make it easy, right? That's not the easy button.
No, and I think
and it's hard. It's hard work. I agree. And every state is different. And guess what? Because they're online forms now, they can change them as often as they want. So you may have different fields next month that it's asking for than it did last month. So yeah, it's a burden for sure.
Yeah, I bet. So where can we go to find out more about Avalara and basically the products and services that they offer?
Where can you go? Well, you go to Solution Systems, of course. Well, there's Avalara.com.
There's an app in App Store on Microsoft App Source. Mm-hmm. There's an app, right, that people can go.
There is an app you can download. You would want to reach out to us, to either Solution Systems or to Avalara, or both. to connect with a consultant, and we would, as I kind of alluded to earlier, we would talk specifically about your business. What are your pain points? What do you need help with? How many invoicing systems do you have? Do you have e-commerce as well as Business Central? Or are you planning to, or are you afraid to? So we'll talk through all those sorts of things. What percentage of your business is exempt? And we'll help, as I said earlier, put together a customized package for you. And back to the Business Central customers, it's not a plug and play per se, but it is a pre-built certified integration for tax determination for your platform. So as you create invoices, we're going to do the tax piece to that and return the tax amount back. So it's more or less a set it and forget it, right, guys? You implement once you identify your products and you set those up in the system. When you create invoices, your staff does not have to intervene. So that's the beauty of the certified integration. Very little IT help, no maintenance. Everything's based in the cloud. So it's super easy and takes so much of that decision making off of your staff.
Very, very nice. All right. Well, before we wrap it up, I just want to mention that we have an upcoming webinar with Avalara.
We do.
It's titled "Avoid Audit Risk and Learn How to Automate Your Consumer Use Tax."
Oh, fun! Use tax, my favorite.
It is. Now, I'm not sure. Are you going to be the one who's presenting that, Maria?
I am. Like you guys, get to see me again. Yep.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. We'll have a link on our show notes or whatnot. But some of the things I jotted down that are going to be covered during the webinar are the events that can trigger consumer use tax requirements, the most common consumer use tax management challenges, the impact of economic nexus laws on consumer use tax, and last but not least, how your business can step up compliance to avoid being audited.
I want to just add a quick note to that, Michael. For those of you who are highly exempt, the auditors love to find incorrect exemption certificates and incorrectly reported use tax. They know you don't charge a lot of sales tax. They're not dumb. So it's really important. If you have a question about the use tax, I recommend you come. It's definitely an audit hotspot right now. So
perfect. Yeah. So what was it? Good.
I was just I had a very important question here as we're wrapping up.
Oh.
A shot of Business Central and a beer. We'd be remiss if we didn't ask you. So it's Friday evening or it's Saturday afternoon, and you're looking for a nice, cold, refreshing beverage. Is it beer? Is beer an option on your plate?
I love beer. I grew up with, my brother loves beer, and I'm the little sister, and that's kind of what my dad drank as well. So yes, I actually do love beer. One of my favorites is a beer called Schmittix, which is an Irish beer, which you can get in Irish pubs. There's I kind of call it a lighter version of Guinness. I love Schmittix, but I like the kind of cloudy beers. You guys familiar with Manny's in Seattle? It's very popular here. It's similar to a Mac and Jack's. Same idea as a Mac and Jack's. Kind of.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, Schmittix. Yeah, no, we've not drinking it here on our podcast, but I'm familiar. It's delicious.
Yeah, you can get it in the bottle, but it's way better in a pub out of the tap. Just saying.
Isn't it always?
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll do a podcast on location.
Yeah.
We'll try it out. Yeah.
Maybe
one of these years, maybe. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Well, that's all the questions I got. Any more for you?
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us, and hopefully
Good,
we'll learn a little bit about maybe easing their burden of sales tax that they've been.
Hopefully. Yep. And I'll talk to you guys on the 10th, right?
Yep.
All right. Sounds
Correct.
great.
Sounds good.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Welcome everyone to the featured segment, and this segment's going to be a little bit different. Ken and I are going to do a little bit of a role play because upgrades are on everybody's mind lately. A lot of people want to upgrade. People see the old version of Nav and they see that it's upgraded to the new version of Business Central. It looks completely different. So I'm going to be, Michael, I guess.
Sure.
We're working at Oscar Brewery Company where we manufacture beer cans, and Ken's going to be the Microsoft partner who answers a bunch of my questions.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Ken, how's it going? My name is Michael. I've been with Oscar Brewing Company, manufacturing company, for about a year.
we manufacture cans and a bunch of different little things that go ahead with that coincide with beer.
Yeah.
I'm the controller, and you know what? We're on NAV 2015. I like it. Where I came from before this job, we're using NAV, 2009 Classic Client. So this is a big difference for me. But I go online and I see emails and I see that there's this new version of NAV called Business Central, and I look at it and it's completely different. Is this something that maybe we should upgrade to, or is this something we don't have to worry about? Are there features to upgrading this? Are there benefits? I mean, I see that it's in the cloud. It can be hosted on premise. There's so many questions. I'm losing the 4 hairs that I have left on my head. I don't know what to do here, what to recommend to my management team.
Well, Michael, let's talk about it.
Right.
So you're running NAV 2015. You
Yep.
got some customizations in there?
Yeah, we've got some customizations.
Yep. Okay. You running some add-on solutions? You got a couple
got
add-ons
some add-on
in
solutions,
there?
Avalara, a couple different things.
All right. Yep. So, So you're not alone.
It's good to hear.
There's thousands of companies like you out there running NAV 2009, 2013, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? And but you look out there, there's no NAV 2021.
Right.
There's no NAV 2022. What gives? Well, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is NAV 2021, 2022. Right?
So you're saying that it just got a name change, or that it's
A
You got
rebranding,
Okay, I got
rebranding
you.
of the product, right?
That makes sense.
Microsoft said we're going to switch from Dynamics NAV, right, to just Dynamics 365.
Gotcha.
Right? And Business Central is basically NAV.
Okay.
So that it is the product now. And if you're active on the Microsoft Enhancement Plan,
Which we are.
right? Great to hear. So you are entitled to run the latest version of Business Central at your organization.
Okay.
So version 17 or 2020 Wave 2
Gotcha.
is the latest release of Business Central.
Okay.
All right. Now, one of the things that's a little confusing is that there's 2 flavors of this. There's Business Central on premise,
Mm-hmm.
which you're running an
We're running
on-premise.
NAV on premise,
Yeah,
right?
NAV, yep. And then there's also Business Central online.
Online. Okay.
Right? And the difference is who's hosting or where is that? Who's hosting that solution, or where is it deployed? In the on-premise solution, you are responsible for hosting it.
Right. I believe right now we're running it off our server, in-house server. So yeah.
Right. So you could continue to run it on your in-house server, or you could decide, I don't want to purchase another server. I want to run it on a hosted server, like on Azure. So you could run it on a private Azure server that's for your organization only, and it's linked to your network.
Now, I've been reading a lot about Azure. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Azure basically Microsoft's, what they're calling Microsoft's cloud? Is that what
Correct.
Azure? Okay.
Yep.
So I got you.
Yep. So Azure is just simply the word, that the name, the brand that they've given to Microsoft's cloud.
Okay.
Okay. So in that environment, if you're running Business Central on premise, you're paying a monthly fee to run that server on Azure. Right.
Okay.
Or you could just buy a new server and run it on premise.
Okay.
Your other option, though, is to upgrade to Business Central Online.
Okay.
And how we would do that is we would take your current environment and we would run you through the upgrade process to Business Central on premise, and then migrate that solution to Business Central Online.
Okay. So now this is, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm a normal guy. I've been reading a whole bunch of different things on Microsoft blog posts and whatnot. I know this company, Solution Systems, has a great blog. Now, when you say go online, am I doing Microsoft Business Central on-premise in Azure, or is it Microsoft Cloud, completely cloud on Microsoft's cloud, I guess?
Right. A little bit of overuse of the word cloud.
A couple times, yeah.
is what happens, right? So people, when you say cloud, what do you mean? Well, and this is one of the key sticking points. Is a lot of times. So when we say for Business Central, there's two. There's Business Central on premise, which you can deploy on the cloud, on Microsoft's server. But in that environment, it's your private environment. So the way to think of it is in Business Central on premise it's like your own house.
Okay.
You can choose to put your house physically in your office, or put your house on the Microsoft Cloud on Azure.
Gotcha.
But you still have full control over when the grass gets cut and when the house gets painted, right? And how the plumbing is laid out, right? How the pipes are connected. When you go to Business Central Online, it's like you're moving into a condo building.
Oh.
And you have one of those units. And within that unit, that's your unit, right? That's your Business Central unit. You have control of your own data and some of your own customizations. But Microsoft is running the whole environment. That's your plumbing, your electricity,
nice.
The outside of the building, and the grounds. Okay. They're taking care of that for you. So
pretty nice,
right? There's a huge benefit to that. You don't have to worry about any of that.
So when we do either Business Central Cloud or Business Central hosted on the Azure cloud, do we own the software like we do on Business Central on-prem, or are we renting the software?
Right. Great question. So let's start with on-premise.
Okay.
So you own Microsoft Dynamics Nav. You're running Nav 2015. You own the software. You can upgrade to Business Central on-premise. You continue to own the software, and you continue to pay 16% per year.
Okay.
Your annual enhancement plan fee. Once you move to Business Central Online, you have to move to a monthly subscription basis. So you're paying per user, per named user, per month, right, to run on Business Central Online.
Okay.
Which is on Microsoft. Microsoft's doing all the back end work for you.
Do we still pay enhancement fee?
No.
Oh, nice.
No more enhancement plan fee.
Wow. Nice.
And because you are active on the Microsoft enhancement plan fee, you get a big discount off of those monthly user fees for running Business Central Online.
Very nice. Very nice.
So the normal fee, you get it. I don't want to say exactly what this is, but you get a big discount off of that.
Nice.
So that ultimately what it equates to is that your annual fee kind of is consistent with what you're paying now, except now that you're Business Central Online, you don't have to pay for your server or your hosting fees.
Oh, wow.
And here's the most important part. You're on Business Central Online. Microsoft applies monthly updates automatically into your environment. And
so what does that mean, that we don't have to go through upgrade processes with our partner anymore? It's just it's automatically done?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Never
That's
again.
A big cost saving benefit right there.
Right. You're so and now Microsoft does 2 updates per year. A spring release and a fall release. We call it Wave 1 and Wave 2. So every 6 months, Microsoft is, and these are not just bug fixes. These are you're getting jam-packed with new features and functionality, integration with Office 365 and Teams, Power BI, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
You're getting all those benefits, and when that new release comes out, your environment automatically gets upgraded for
Sounds-
with no fees, no consulting charges or anything.
That's pretty good. Now, judging from our conversation, I got couple more questions real quick. First is, I'm kind of old school, and I'm worried about like the uptime, I guess, of the internet and whatnot. I know everybody tells me I'm crazy because the internet probably goes out less than the electricity goes out.
Mm-hmm.
But is that something I should be worried about? Should I really be worried about downtime with internet's going down and the business being down?
Okay, so good question. It depends on what specifically you're doing with Business Central, and it depends on where you are.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, if you have real-time shop floor data collection going on,
Mhm.
you're manufacturing beer,
Yep.
right?
Beer cans. Yep.
So if on your shop floor you have those machines are tied into Business Central, your users are scanning in and out, and that's going to shut down your entire production facility, right? Maybe you have a valid right to be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of companies now have redundant internet connections. So you have a T1 line and maybe a Comcast or Verizon or other kind of connection. And those can be done so that if one of those goes down, the other one automatically kicks in.
Nice.
And it's for a few $100s a month.
Oh,
So
very nice.
So you pay for you have a kind of a backup, if you will, or load balancing against those two from an internet perspective. Now maybe you're in the middle of nowhere. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you have very sketchy internet service to begin with,
Yeah.
maybe that's a valid reason
Right.
for you to run an on-premise server. Now, if you're gonna run the on-premise version of Business Central, but put it on a private cloud server, right, and not go to Business Central Online, but run it on an Azure private cloud server, I would say you have the same problem, right? You're reliant on an
internet-based.
internet connection.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if you're physically going to put your server on premise to make sure you have 100% uptime, maybe there's a legitimate concern there.
Nice. Now, the other question I got, I heard you talking earlier about integrations and whatnot, and we're running NAV 2015. So, I guess two questions. One, can we upgrade to NAV 2018? If not, and we upgrade to Business Central on-premise, do all those integrations still work with the on-premise, or is that really like just cloud software interacting with each other?
Yep. So, by integrations, I assume you mean you're talking about like Office 365,
Yeah.
Outlook, Power BI.
Yep.
Right.
Teams. I saw a couple
Teams.
good things. Yep.
Right. So, if you're going to upgrade, and you mentioned, should I just go to NAV 2018,
Right.
or what should I do? There is an alternative where what you can do is you could upgrade to Business Central version 14.
Okay.
Which is or any version on premise, actually 14 or above. So I would say don't go to NAV 2018. Go to Business Central.
Okay.
One of the versions, probably the latest version, but there's some reasons you might go to 14. Get back to that later if you want.
All right.
But you should go to Business Central because once you're there, now you've got the app available to run on your iPhone or your Android device, right?
Nice.
And as long as if you're on premise still, as long as you're running Office 365 and you have Azure Active Directory set up, which is just a way to link your on-premise server to Office 365, now you can use those features.
Okay. So we're running Microsoft Office 2019 for our Outlook and all that. So what you're saying is if you would probably recommend us going to Microsoft 365, which is what we're thinking about doing anyway. But if we go to like Microsoft 365, then it's a lot easier and connects and integrates with Business Central a lot easier.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I think if to boil it down, yes, your best option to get the best benefit for the least amount of hassle is to move to Business Central Online with Office 365.
Okay.
right? Because it's all pre-packaged, right? It's pre-wrapped with a bow on top by Microsoft, so to speak. Whereas when you're running running an on-premise solution, those can be integrated, but there's you have to set up a few things,
Right.
or configure a few things.
Now, like licensing for Business Central, is it kind of the same as Nav, where obviously we need manufacturing, but we have a computer out on the shop floor where 20 people use. Do we need to license 20 people, or can we just add one license and
Yep.
have everybody use it, or no?
Yeah. So good question. So it depends on which version of Business Central you go to.
Okay.
How many users do you have right now?
We got about
concurrent?
40 users, 40 concurrent
40
users.
concurrent users in NAV 2015. When you upgrade to Business Central on premise, we switch from a concurrent license model to a named user license model. So every single individual has to have their own license assigned.
Is that going to cost us more money?
Is that going to be a problem? You have more than 40 people that actually
Well, like I said, we've got
system?
that one
Two
computer.
shifts?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So Microsoft realizes that could be a problem, moving to a named user license. So when you upgrade to Business Central from Nav, you will get 3 named users for every 1 concurrent user you have.
Wow.
So you have 40 right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have 120 named users that are able to connect to Business Central.
Well, that solves all our problems then for using that shop floor computer.
Probably.
Pretty good. And I'm assuming now is it a big difference when companies go from Nav to the Business Central? I mean, it's got a completely different look. I mean, is the transition hard? If we're using Business Central on premise, does it look the same? Does it look different than Nav?
Yep. So it does. When you first take a first glance at the new user interface, it looks completely different.
Yeah.
And it can be you can look at it and be very intimidated by it and say, wow, this is way different. But what you will quickly realize is that the database structure and the tables and the pages and the reports all have the same names. You have a customer card, an item card, sales orders, posted sales invoices, general journals, recurring general journals,
Wow.
right? You quickly realize that it's really the same software, just with a different front end, just a different user interface.
Nice.
What we've found is that most people within a few hours are comfortable navigating around
Oh, really?
between a 2015 user interface to the new modern client user
So the
interface.
look and feel is just like, it kind of looks different, is what you're saying, but the process, I guess, of doing something is sort of the same.
Yep.
Very nice, very nice. Now, what about all our customizations? Can we have those in Business Central online? I think a lot of these are done object based. I'm not sure because I've only been here for 6 months, but I think a lot of them are object based.
Yep.
Are we able to bring these to Business Central online? How does that kind of work?
Yep. You can, yes. So the development environment has changed, though. So there are no objects in Business Central online.
Oh.
So let's say you have a custom report that you created. It's a sales analysis report that you guys have created. What we would do is we would have to basically take that report and we would have to transition that into an extension.
Okay.
So it does not entail rewriting the whole report. So if it took you 10 hours to build that report, it's not 10 hours to move that into an extension.
Okay.
Right. Any fields, like let's say you've added 3 or 4 fields to the customer table or the item table, those would have to be redeveloped as table extensions in Business Central. Because in the cloud and Microsoft Online, right, Business Central Online, we can't change the standard Microsoft functionality. Instead, we extend it. And so we add what are called table extensions.
Okay.
For the end user, once we upgrade you, it looks and feels the same.
Gotcha.
But under the hood, instead of having one table that has some custom fields in it, we have the standard table plus another table that stores these extended fields. And behind the scenes, it hooks these up. And the benefit there is that when the next release comes out, they can just quickly update the standard tables and structures without impacting your extensions.
Very nice.
And they can apply those updates automatically.
So then would you say that us going from NAV 2015 to Business Central Cloud is more of a re-implementation as opposed to an upgrade, or do you still consider it an upgrade?
Well, I would say you have a choice. So if you like your current environment, the data that you have, the setups that you have, you want to preserve your history, you want to preserve your enhancements, you can upgrade your existing NAV environment to Business Central, whether it's on-premise or it's on the cloud, online. If you don't, if you say, you know what, I'm not so sure. I don't want to keep all this old data. I don't want to keep these enhancements. I don't want to have these add-ons in there because we're not using them anymore. I want to start fresh. Well, then start fresh. You still have the benefits. You're on an enhancement plan, so you don't have to repurchase the software. But start fresh and just migrate over the data that you want. Your customers, your ship-tos, your items, your vendors, maybe some of your other setup tables. But then start fresh with a clean implementation, add a few apps in that you need, and start fresh. So you have both of those choices available.
Oh, it sounds really good. I mean, I think you covered a lot of my questions. The only other real question I have is reporting wise. I see that Business Central is pretty robust with reporting, but I've been taking a look at Power BI. Does Business Central integrate with Power BI or no?
Yep, both on-premise and Business Central Online. Both work with Power BI. Here's the difference. If you move to Business Central Online, you get a Power BI license included so that you can run Power BI within Business Central. But if you're running Business Central on-premise, if you want to use the Power BI functionality, you have to have Power BI Pro licenses.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
You're paying $10 per user per month that you want to make that available to.
Oh, not bad.
So it's still not hugely
not too bad.
expensive,
Right.
but it is a difference.
So 2 more questions then before I let you go. And the first is we have another company that is like a sub company of ours, a different division, but it kind of runs basically like its own separate company. Do we have to purchase another Business Central for that, or are we allowed to set up multiple companies in Business Central, or how does that kind of work? If we go and purchase another company and we want to bring it into our system, can we do that with Business Central?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh.
So you have a Business Central environment, and within that one Business Central environment, you can run an unlimited number of companies.
Wow.
Each company has its own independent set of data.
That's pretty good. Same with financials and everything. Everything's completely separate.
Completely separate, and there's also consolidations functionality, so you could create even a consolidation company and push all those entries from those individual companies into a consolidated company.
Wow, that's pretty nice. All right, one more question then, and you've pretty much answered all my questions. So this one is, we have a lot of data, a lot of documents that we've attached to things and things like that. Are we ever going to run out of space with Business Central? I mean, do you even know how much space Business Central offers us that we can use? How much storage do they have?
Right. So, again, let's talk about on-premise versus online. On-premise, you have complete control over that. Unlimited, have as much space as you want to allocate,
Right. Okay.
right, to your server or your drives, right? It's a private cloud server or it's an on-premise server, no limits. When you're in Business Central Online, there are limits, At which point, it's when you reach a certain limit, you just purchase additional space.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So there's a certain amount of space that's included for every deployment. And then if you exceed that, you just pay for as you use, as needed, for that extra space per month.
Okay, so if we get to a certain point, they're not going to lock down our system and say, well, Business Central is not for you anymore. You got to upgrade to
Nope.
whatever, AX or Finance and Operations, whatever it's called. We can just purchase more space as we need it and move along from there is what you're saying.
Correct. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you had to make a recommendation for us, we like to be technologically advanced. We consider ourselves technologically savvy. We want to be, with the times. Our generation that we cater to is, millennials and maybe Gen Z or whatnot. So we got to kind of stay up to date with things.
Yep.
Should we go cloud or on-premise?
So what I would
In
tell
5 years, where's everybody going to be?
Well, yeah, exactly. So it depends on what your what your time horizon is and what you plan on doing. In the long run, what you should plan on doing right now is start planning on how do you get to Business Central online.
Okay.
Because the value that you get for having no infrastructure to support Business Central, right? Meaning you don't have to pay for a server.
Yeah. None of
any
those
of that
upfront IT costs, yeah.
And also, probably more importantly, being on a version where it's automatically being updated every month with the latest features and functionality and releases. That's where people are going to be when you talk about
Gotcha.
2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. That is where you're going to get. And if you're going to take an effort to upgrade, you seriously need to consider getting
cloud.
to that point.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking because, in the recent light of the situation everybody's in with the pandemic, we've got more and more of our staff working mobilely and remotely and whatnot. So we're definitely leaning towards a cloud solution, and we think more people are going to work remote as time goes on. So we'd like to give them that option to be able to work from wherever. And, it allows us to bring in talent from everywhere. So it should help us. So we're definitely thinking cloud and Microsoft 365, Office 365. So
Yep. Yeah. So I would just tell you. So the things that you should consider, the reasons you would consider moving to Business Central on premise are these. One, you do business with the government that requires maybe an ITAR compliance or something where you cannot operate on a multi-tenant cloud environment. You have real-time shop floor data collection issues in an area with unreliable internet, and you don't want to be reliant on the internet for operations. And the third thing is you have a huge and heavily customized database where you just have concerns about moving that into an online environment. And then the fourth is you have integrations where you want back-end control to the SQL database.
Okay.
Where you're doing things with SQL Server and you're integrating with other systems that rely on like SQL views and queries, and you're updating data, right, using SQL tools or things like that, maybe some complex integrations. Those are the reasons that you might consider staying on premise.
Okay, understandable. Now, Business Central, I'm assuming, just like Nav, it's definitely more than capable to handle all of our manufacturing processes. Warehousing, whatever it may be, we have all those options with Business Central.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Advanced warehouse management functionality. Companies that are in food and beverage with a lot of lot tracing requirements. Aerospace customers. Anyone who's in aerospace knows that lot and serial control on manufacturing processes is about as tight as it gets.
Nice, very nice. Well, all I can say is thank you very much. You've answered all my questions. I mean, I don't know if you have anything else you'd recommend for us to know, or maybe we did a good job asking questions.
Yeah, no, I'll just as my payment, I'll take a few beers.
Beers galore. Hey, if you want another one of the 12.5.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, great, perfect. So I think it's time for us to actually revisit what we would rate these beers now then. So in the beginning, I think Ken gave it an 80. I gave it a 92.
Yeah.
I have since moved on to my second beer. Ken has also moved on to his second beer, but it's not the same beer.
Yeah. So I mentioned during the outset that I may need to revise my number, my rating.
Yep.
And alas, I do.
Rating of 80.
So my 80 was a little high. And so my personal rating system is if I'm not going to go back for a second beer, it can't be over a 50.
I completely agree with you on that one.
So I'm going to have to go 49.
49?
Yeah.
Is that the worst? I think that's the worst rating you've given a beer.
It might
Oh
be.
my
Yeah,
God.
I'm sorry.
The disrespect to this
I
company.
got my tail
compared
between
to
my legs.
Trader Joe's. It's like Charles Barkley. The disrespect.
That's the I set that early
That's the standard,
on.
yep.
I said if I'm not going to have a second one, it can't be over 50.
I completely agree with you.
And so I went back to the Elysian Space Dust from a few months ago.
And I will
loving it.
Yep, he had the ear-to-ear smile. He was smelling it. It was great. So, it's kind of funny how different people's palates can be. You know what I mean? Where I actually like this beer. I'm almost finished with number 2. I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big boy beer, no doubt about it. I mean, it's thick and whatnot, which I'm shocking myself by drinking it.
So I'll leave you with this. You know, when you asked me to, what are my thoughts on this beer, I say that I would tell you, that most beer makes you piss. This beer makes you shit.
Yeah, that it does. Best line ever. Because it sums it up perfectly.
And I'll throw a tribute out to that from my an old college friend, Ryan Rooney. So I got to give my props.
He's the one originated his line.
It was originated back in 1990s in the state of Iowa.
Well, way to go, Ryan, man! Nice job. So, all right. Well, you've reached the end of another episode of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer podcast. Connect with us at www.solstice.com and on all major social channels. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you always know when the latest available episode is out. Oh, and one more thing before we go. On next month's podcast episode, we're going to be interviewing and chatting all things Business Central with Mike Silver from Microsoft. So, yeah, if you're a fan of Business Central, you're not going to want to miss that.
I've got some questions for him.
Yes. So, all right, we'll see everybody next month.